Hey everyone, welcome back to the EQ Skills Clinic. So glad that you're here and that you are joining us. If this is our first time meeting, if we've never met before, my name is Dr. Shyamala. I am a podcast host, media expert for national TV, and founder of the EQ Code, where we help high performing women transform their relationships so that they can execute at their fullest capacity. I'm really glad you've decided to join me today. In today's session, we are going to be looking at a leadership skill. We're going to be focusing a little bit today on leadership skills. As you know, we sort of navigate between mindset skills, communication skills, relationship skills, and leadership skills. And today, what I want to talk to you about is imposter syndrome. And the reason I want to talk to you specifically about imposter syndrome is because I have noticed that, particularly with high performing women, imposter syndrome is so very common. It's almost like a normative experience. And so that's really the conversation that I want to have with you today, and to perhaps introduce you to this idea that if you don't feel like an imposter at different sort of areas of your career, or when you're moving from one level to the next level, if you don't experience that sense of, man, am I even cut out to do this? Did I somehow slip through the cracks? Who am I to lead or to hit that next level or to execute in this way? If you don't come across that feeling, I want to suggest that maybe that's an indication that you might be playing a little too small. Right? Maybe we can reframe the way that we think about imposter syndrome and actually view imposter syndrome as a really great indication that we are taking those risks, that we are executing fully on our mission, and that we are really showing up as our best selves. So, if you've ever experienced imposter syndrome, it may actually feel like a dirty little secret. I know for myself, I have certainly experienced imposter syndrome at so many different points, I'll say, in my career and in my own journey. I have felt it come up for me, and in my own head, the way that I experience imposter syndrome as a narrative is I will often tell myself, Shamla, you have simply slipped through the cracks. Like nobody has noticed that you're not qualified enough, or you don't have enough experience, or you're not enough of an expert to command this particular platform or this particular role. And it really, for me, it wouldn't matter what that role was or what that platform was. I know that I felt it really profoundly when I was on a national TV show for almost a decade. And, I was thinking about this recently. I'm working on writing a book right now. And I was reflecting on, different stories and different narratives that I could weave into my book as I'm sort of doing some teaching, right? I wanted to weave some narratives in. And one of the narratives that really stood out for me from my own life and my own journey was my experience with imposter syndrome when I was on this particular TV show. I was the only female on a panel of all male experts. If you and I have never met, I'm tiny. I'm a very petite woman. I'm 4'9". They literally had to put me on, like, we were seated at a table. If you can imagine, a big table of experts, it's me and three other men who are all much taller and much bigger than me. And I walk into that studio and they realize that I'm tiny, right? And so they had to put risers, like these cushions, on my seat just so that I could be at eye level when we were filming with the other experts, right? And I remember so profoundly in that moment feeling such a deep sense of, oh my gosh, you have slipped through the cracks. Everyone's going to figure out that you don't belong here, that you have nothing valuable to contribute. That really and truly, like, who are you to call yourself an expert? Who are you to lead in this particular area? And the truth is, as I was sort of, working through this portion of my book, what I realized is it wasn't just in that first season that I felt that. It wasn't just in the second season. It wasn't just in the third season, but I can honestly say I felt some level of imposter syndrome for probably the first 5 years that I appeared on that that television show. And I was on there for almost a decade. I was on there for 9 years. And so, what I want you to know and what I want you to understand as we start this conversation and as I share that story is that it truly doesn't matter what platform you are being called to command. It really doesn't matter what space in this world um, or which space in this world your mission takes you. It actually doesn't matter. What I've learned is, regardless of the size of your platform, regardless of the space in this world that you are being called to, imposter syndrome, if you are playing all in, is going to be right there to greet you. And truly, I think the work for us is learning how to deal with that. So let's jump into that right now. So, one of the things I've already sort of alluded to is this idea that the truth about imposter syndrome is, I really believe that every high performing leader experiences this phenomenon. And I want to say that for high performing women, I actually think we are even more prone to experiencing imposter syndrome. Why? Because I think for so long, one, systemically, we have not been invited to and we have not been welcome at the leadership table, right? It is still, like I said, I remember as I sat there on this expert panel as the only female in a literally, not only was the panel all men, but like the entire studio was all men. I think the only other woman in that studio while we were filming was my makeup artist. And that was it, right? And so I think traditionally women have not been invited into spaces of leadership. We have not been told that we can command that type of presence. And so I think imposter syndrome is quite a normal experience for leaders, period. And I think for high performing women, because there is a calling, I believe, deep inside our hearts to sort of do more, to expand our mission, to expand our impact, I believe that we experience imposter syndrome even more. There's a much more, how do I say, like it's we more commonly experience imposter syndrome perhaps than our male counterparts. And so, why high performing leaders, or why high performing women, mission focused women, why do we experience imposter syndrome so often? Why is it such a common experience with, a lot of the women that I work with inside our signature program, who perhaps are CEOs or entrepreneurs or doctors or lawyers or HR professionals? Why do these women that I work with so often tell me, Shyamala, I think I feel like an imposter. I feel like I don't belong here. I feel like I don't deserve to hit that next level of success. Why is that? Why do high performing leaders experience imposter syndrome so often? I'm going to suggest that if you are playing all in, if you are committed to having massive impact, and you are aligned with your personal mission in this world, then there are a few things that I probably know about you. I'm going to take a few guesses in terms of a few things that probably make up who you are. So, the first thing I probably know about you is that you are taking risks, right? So, let me just back up. If you're playing all in, if you are committed to having massive impact, and if you are aligned with your mission in this world, I am going to make a guess that you are taking risks. You are taking risks. All high performing leaders take risks. It is a must in order to play the game well. Risk taking is a skill. I believe it's an emotional intelligence skill, it's a leadership skill, and it is absolutely necessary. So, the truth is, if you take risks, you are bound to feel like an imposter from time to time. If you are taking risks, if you are putting yourself out there, if you are in it to win it, you are playing the big game, you are going all in on your mission and your impact, and you feel truly passionate about whatever it is that you are called to do in this world, you must take risks. You must take risks. And this took me a long time to learn the importance of being able to navigate risk taking well. So that's the first thing I know about you. If you are a high performing leader, if you are a mission focused woman, I know that you are taking risks. The second thing that I know, and the second thing that I've noticed definitely with the women that I work with, is that you are probably very rarely satisfied with the status quo. You are very rarely satisfied with the status quo. And really, why would you be, right? If you are, and I believe this about you guys, right? If you are powerful beyond measure and you know that you have a purpose on this planet, anytime you decide to play a bigger game, that game that actually aligns with your mission, that game that pushes you way outside of your comfort zone, that dream or that vision that's like, man, that's big, right? That feels so much bigger than me. What happens is you're actually forced to put yourself out there in new and fresh ways. I'm going to say that again, right? When you decide that you are going to align fully with your mission, you are also then forced to put yourself out there in new and fresh ways. Enter imposter syndrome every damn time. Every time we put ourselves out there in new and fresh ways, every time we meet ourselves and we meet our mission and we meet the world in new and fresh ways, if you are doing that authentically, if you are doing that wholeheartedly, if you are doing that fully and unapologetically, you will feel like an imposter. Why? Because you are challenging the status quo. You are doing something that maybe you have never done before. And so if you feel for a moment like you don't deserve to be there, or who am I to lead, or what am I thinking with this huge, grand, powerful dream that I have for my life, if you have those thoughts, I want you to know that that is perfectly normal. And that is not a good indication that you are headed down the wrong path. I want you to hear that. I want you to take that in. Every single time you challenge the status quo and you decide to engage fully with your mission and align fully with your mission, it means that you are going to put yourself out there in new and fresh ways. And my friend, that is scary. And that is okay. And you can totally do this. The third thing that I would know about you, if you are a high performing, mission focused, passion filled leader, I know that you are all about leveling up. You are all in all the time. And listen, all in all the time doesn't mean perfect. It doesn't mean 100% effort. That's not what it means. It means your heart is all in all the time. Your heart is in it. Your heart is in your mission. Your heart is in your relationships. Your heart is in that big vision for yourself all the time. I know I felt this and I sort of questioned it for myself, like, why do I feel so deeply passionate about having an impact in my life? Like, it almost felt obsessive, right? It almost felt like I was constantly dreaming and vision casting and just imagining how to make improvements with whatever projects I was working on, and some of you may or may not know that I have two separate businesses. They're very aligned and there's lots of similarities, but they are two separate entities. I have a psychotherapy clinic and I have a coaching clinic. And I remember my psychotherapy clinic, I call it like my older business, and my coaching clinic is like my younger baby business. I remember when I was growing and building my psychotherapy clinic, I was constantly, and if you ask my team, they'll tell you, constantly thinking of ways to improve things, of refining things, of just delivering better quality of care, right? This, my passion for my mission, my passion for the type of impact that I wanted to have in the world, would drive me to really put my heart in it all the time. I was constantly dreaming and vision casting and just imagining the type of impact that I really wanted to have in people's lives. So this might resonate for you, right? This is that third thing that I know about high performance leaders, that we are all about leveling up. Last year's goals were so last year, right? You are motivated by challenges and you are always seeking new opportunities for growth. When you live, eat, and breathe excellence, you are bound to come up against imposter syndrome. So here's what I want to say about what I've shared with you today, about your mission, about your vision for your life, about that burning passion that you feel inside of you, and about imposter syndrome. What I want to suggest and what I want to invite you to think about is, rather than viewing imposter syndrome as a bad thing, maybe we can flip the script, right? Maybe together as a community of mission focused women, we can flip the script on imposter syndrome, just like we try here inside this community to flip the script on perfectionism all the time, right? What if we flip the script? What if we told ourselves that if I don't feel like an imposter, I'm playing too small, right? What if our perspective on imposter syndrome was that every single time I feel it, I'm going to celebrate. I'm going to call my girlfriend and I'm going to tell her, guess what? I felt like an imposter today. And you know why? It's because I decided to play a really big game. And here's the risk that I took. Right? What if we celebrated and looked to imposter syndrome as an indication that we are living, playing, and executing fully and unapologetically, right? What if we weren't afraid of that feeling of, man, how the heck did I get here? Right? What if we looked at that narrative? What if we looked at that feeling as a way to actually empower and fuel our mission? Getting out there, playing the game that you are called to play and showing up fully and unapologetically. That is what truly inspires me about this community. That's what fuels my mission is seeing you get out there, is seeing you playing that bigger game, right? So inside this private community, inside the EQ lab, I posted a question a little while ago. I asked all of you, what is your big dream for your life? What's your big dream for your life? And if you answer, whether you answered that question or not, I want to suggest something. Whatever you think is the big dream for your life, maybe a imposter syndrome version of what is truly the big dream for your life. Let me explain what I mean by that. I remember when I was asked that particular question by a coach that I worked with, right? And I remember saying my dream was X, Y, and Z, right? And I remember my coach challenging me and saying, Shyamala, is that really what the dream for your life actually is? Or is it what you're telling yourself you can realistically achieve? And often what I find is that when we come up against imposter syndrome, what happens is we tell ourselves that this is what I am capable of, not necessarily this is what my heart longs for in terms of impact. So, what I really want to encourage you to do today, as you are listening to this, as you're listening to my voice, and as we are connecting in this conversation, I want you to think about not what you believe you are capable of achieving, but what I really want you to think about is, what does your heart long for? What is the impact? Like, quiet yourself right now, turn inward, and really ask yourself, what is the impact that my heart longs to have in this world? Who are the people that I most passionately want to serve, right? Where are those areas where I see a gap? Right? Where I see a gap, where I look at that and I say, status quo is not okay there. I want to make this particular area better, right? If you guys have been hanging out with me, you know, for me, it's really helping high performing women navigate their relationships with a deep sense of confidence so that we're no longer getting in our own way, right? I want to help high performing women just like you like execute at a whole new level, a level that you never imagined, and maybe even a level that you were never told that you could execute at, right? I want you to think about, what is that for you? What is that mission? What is the impact that you want to have? And I really want you to begin dreaming in a way where you are not afraid of imposter syndrome, but you are truly, truly allowing those feelings to fuel you and to push your mission in this world. I want to thank you so much for the time and the energy and the effort. I want to thank you right now for the time, energy, and effort that you put into self reflection, because I really think that when we do that, we are able to show up as our best selves. The other thing I want to do as we are connecting today is I want to tell you a little bit about the Courageous Intimacy Bootcamp. We opened registration for this on Monday. If you have done any of our past boot camps, we've had different boot camps at different points in time. I want you to know that this one is a little bit different. We are really going to be focusing on fearless communication. We're going to be focusing on fearless and courageous communication so that we can build authentic intimacy. So, over the 5 days of the boot camp, let me tell you a little bit about the content. So, day one, we are going to be looking at why personal relationships impact professional success. And this is a truth that I really want every woman in this community to understand, that personal relationships really do have an impact on professional success. And we are going to unpack that, and we are going to hit the ground running on day one. Day two, we are going to look at how to keep our cool in every conversation. We're going to look at strategies to rewire our brain. We're going to look at how to reduce anxiety and build confidence. On day three, we are going to look at how to ask for what we need without fear. You know, if there is one skill that I could give every woman, including my daughter, it would be how to ask for what we need without fear. I think that is one of the most transformative emotional intelligence skills that we can adopt and practice. Day four, we're going to look at how to build intimacy so that you can fuel your mission. That is what we're going to look at. Intimacy and building intimacy the right way really can transform how we show up in terms of our own personal mission. And day five, we're going to pull things together and we're going to look at how to implement what I call high performance relationships. This is a term that I use inside my signature methodology, my signature program. We're going to look at how to implement high performance relationships for next level success. I am jumping in here. I'm jumping in, ladies, to look at comments because I've missed them. Hey, Molly. Hey, Jennifer. Taylor, so great to see you. Krista, always good to see you. Farishte with the heart, so awesome to see you. Krista says, this is good to hear. I've got steps to take to get there, but I am worthy and capable of my vision. Yes, 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 yes. 100 times yes. And the truth is, Krista, I mean, you know, I've said it, like I still have to remind myself of that. I still have to remind myself every now and again. I'll have these moments where I'm like, who am I to be here? Who am I to lead this community? Who am I to have um, such a massive vision for my life? Who am I? And so that question is something that I'm teaching myself and training myself to not be afraid of, right? And actually be able to respond and say, well, I am a powerful, high performing, mission focused, super passionate woman who desires to truly help transform people's lives. And I believe most of the women here inside this community, that we have that common thread. I really do believe it. I believe that birds of a feather flock together. Is that the saying? And that, you know, so many of the women that I have personally come to know in this community, especially when we did our last boot camp, I've come to understand that you are women of integrity. You are women who want to have more fearless conversations. You are women who want to be more courageous in your life, and that you truly do want to show up fully and unapologetically. So I am here for that. I am so excited about that. So, my friends, if you have not yet registered for the Courageous Intimacy Bootcamp, I'm so excited about the title too. It took me a while to really think about, what am I teaching? Like, what is the crux of what I am going to teach these women over the course of this, 5 days? As you guys know, it'll be longer than 5 days because I always throw in bonus modules. But I thought about it. I was like, I'm going to teach these women how to build intimacy courageously. I am going to help these women show up fearlessly in their relationships. I'm going to help them to really transform the way that they think, they communicate, and navigate their relationships. So, our time together in this boot camp is all going to be about courageous intimacy. And I'm so excited about that. So if you've got any questions for me or my team, just drop them into the comments below and we will be sure to answer them. In the next little while, a couple of members of my team will probably reach out to you just to make sure that you are registered, that you've got your workbook. The workbook is not quite ready yet, but we will get it out to you before the boot camp, and just make sure that you are all set up to have an amazing week with me of a learning and training and absolute transformation. My friends, thank you so much for your time. I never take the time that you invest here with me lightly. I am truly grateful for it. Maria, thank you. Yay, Maria's here. Maria is an amazing member of my team. And so she has thrown the registration link in there for me. Thank you so much, Maria. So guys, thank you so much for your time. I never take it lightly. I'm grateful for every moment that you spend with me, and every moment that you make the choice to show up differently for yourself, your family, and your mission. Have an amazing day, and I will see you guys again soon. Bye, ladies.